Today on Inside Utah Politics, we're looking into the state of the GOP. Republican National Committee Vice Chair Thomas Wright is here to discuss his role at the national level and party strategy as we head into 2020. Plus, state lawmakers moving quickly on a bill to replace Proposition 3 Medicaid expansion. Our panel weighs in on the changes and what it means for the ballot initiative process.
Time now for Inside Utah Politics.
Good Sunday morning, and thanks so much for joining us for Inside Utah Politics. I'm Glenn Mills. We begin this morning with RNC Vice Chair and former Utah GOP Chair Thomas Wright. Thomas, welcome back to the show. Great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me on, Glenn.
Yeah, we thought we'd check out another side of the studio with you this time.
Yeah, I love it over here.
You
This
okay
is great.
standing?
I feel great.
All right, so you were reelected to your position as a Vice Chair within the RNC. First, what is that?
There's 4 male vice chairmen and 4 female vice chairmen of the RNC. I was elected by the Western Region Group, which includes 14 U.S. states and territories from America Samoa, the Northern Mariana Islands, and then the states basically Colorado, New Mexico, Montana, and West, including Alaska.
And so what is your job?
My job is to help organize the Western Region members, to help organize the efforts. Of course, the RNC has a robust staff that does a great job. But I'll go around the Western region helping other members in their events, fundraising events, political rallies, and just helping the chair and co-chair at the RNC spread their talents and resources out across the country.
But that also puts you on the executive board, correct?
It does, yeah. It puts me on the executive committee of the RNC, which is obviously a prominent role, and I'm proud to represent Utah on the RNC. I'm proud to take Utah values. I feel it a big honor to represent the GOP at the national level, and I'll do my best to promote civility and all the things that I think are important in American politics.
Civility, you are known for that here with your work within politics. I want to get to more about that in a minute, but first let's talk about the overall state of the GOP. Coming off an election where you just lost the House, your thoughts on that and not controlling all branches in Washington, D.C.
The party that holds the White House and both houses of Congress very rarely holds them. We knew that history was not on our side. We did our best to defy history, and we did it with a robust ground game, robust data gathering, robust fundraising, and reaching out to voters to have our message appeal to them. Didn't quite work, but it wasn't the blue wave that everybody predicted.
I was going to say, do you think it could have been worse?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know it could have been worse, and I know what we did, and I know the results that it produced. Of course, our goal was to maintain the House, and we didn't do it. So, but we knew we were trying to defy history, so it didn't bother us. We just need to get ready and gear up for 2020. But I'll tell you, what we did on the ground, what we did in key states in 2018 has perfectly positioned us for 2020.
Let's move more into that. Looking ahead, do you see the House, the party being able to take over the House again and not lose the Senate?
Absolutely. Yes, I think we have a great chance of doing that. I think the American people want action in Washington, D.C. I think when they see the stalemate and the gridlock and the politicians not being able to talk to each other and the Speaker of the House not respecting the President of the United States in certain negotiations, I think there will be a change.
The 4th District here in Utah, is that one the RNC is going to have its eye on?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a Republican district. We feel like it's a Republican district. But you know what? That's less important than getting our message out. I think if voters know what it means to have a conservative elected in that seat and sent to Washington, D.C., that message will resonate. It's absolutely a seat the RNC is looking at. It's a seat the Utah Republican Party is looking at, and we will be actively engaged in taking that seat back.
Do you see President Trump being the nominee again in 2020?
I do. But I do think that it's important for the party to feel like challengers can come forward, that they can have their voices and messages heard, and the voters want that to happen. But there's tremendous advantages to being the President of the United States, and the Republican National Committee does support the President and his policies and what he's trying to do to make America great, and he's done that in so many ways. Eliminating 22 regulations for every one that he's added. Tax reform, that hasn't happened since 1986. Looking out for the middle income wage earner, getting a $2,000 rebate on their taxes. There's so many great things, the 2 conservative Supreme Court nominations. There's so many things to like about what President Trump has done during his time in office as President of the United States.
A lot of people look at him, though, and they don't appreciate his behavior, even within his own party. Obviously, he's not going to be changing that in 2020. But still, you look at all the other things and say, this is a guy we stand behind.
Yeah, and I get that argument. I hear it often. But I would just say to that, Glenn, that I think in a lot of ways it's been really difficult for the president. He started off with the media. The media has just constantly gone after him and his family. Not everyone in the media. It's not everyone. It's certainly not you. I don't think you've done that. But when you get into an antagonist situation with somebody who likes to fight, you're going to pick a fight. And I wish we could get back to policy, public policy, what's good for the country, that we could end the bickering and the gotcha moments and trying to point people's flaws out. He's done a lot of great things by appointing the 2 Supreme Court justices, tax reform, all the things I just talked about. Those are important to the future of our country. So we elect politicians and we have elected officials to promote public policy. And that's what we should be talking about, public policy.
Senator Romney, he has told me he is not interested in running for president, but that speculation started to arise with an op-ed he wrote before even taking office. Do you see him potentially setting himself up as a potential challenger to President Trump in 2020?
Isn't it great to have a freshman senator, Senator Romney, with the clout, the power, and the respect that he has.
He wrote that
nationally.
op-ed,
I think
and
it's
the whole
fantastic
world was talking about it.
Yeah, they're going to always talk about it because Mitt Romney's a natural-born leader. He's a gentleman. He's been sincere in his approach. He's operated under the dictates of his conscience, and he's done what he felt was right in instances. And so naturally, he's going to be mentioned as a presidential candidate. I was the Utah Republican Party chairman when he ran for president. I would have loved to have seen President Romney in 2012 instead of President Obama. And so there's people like me out there that feel like he would have been great. So he's going to naturally be mentioned, but I believe him when he says he's not going to run.
In the State of the Union, the president made a call for unity. What does unity look like these days in Washington, D.C.? You've already mentioned the dysfunction and not working together. How do you get on that track?
Listening to somebody else that disagrees with you and learning from their position and recognizing that people on both sides of the aisle are making good points and that tribalism, just adopting the right or the left just for the sake of adopting it and following it to the end blindly is a bad idea. And I say that as a Republican National Committee member and vice chair. We should be questioning each other. We should be listening to people who have a difference of opinion than us. They have points to make. We can learn from them, and the country will move along better if we do that. I just wish there was more listening and more learning. There's so much to learn, Glenn. These issues are so complex. And to say we have all the right answers and you have all the wrong answers, that would be disingenuous. We need to listen to each other.
Again, pointing to the president as an example, is he an example of unity? Most people would say he's not.
I think everybody can do better, myself included. Everybody can do better. We can all listen to the other side. We can all do better. So to start saying who's doing it better than the other person, just going to create a bigger divide. Why don't we all step up to the plate, every citizen in this state, every citizen in this country, and say, I might be better than somebody else, but that's not the point. The point is, I can do better. I can sit down and listen to my neighbor. I can listen to somebody who disagrees with me on an issue. And we can still disagree, but we can do it civilly. That's what this country's all about.
I think we do that good in Utah, but not on the national level.
That's right. That's why we need to take Utah values to Washington, D.C. We need to take the Utah model, which is what I'm trying to do at the RNC level. It's a volunteer position. I do it in addition to running my business. I do it in addition to raising my children and all the other philanthropic things I try to do in the community to make our community a better place. We all need to do it. Not everybody's going to do what I do or want to do it, but we can do better by being a good example. Put the social media down. Learn issues. Just pick up one issue and learn both sides of it. You might learn that the other side has a good perspective.
Okay, 30 seconds left, but I want to get your point on this. We're just days away from another potential rundown. What is a reasonable path forward? Where do Democrats need to give? Where do Republicans need to give?
Well, we all need to agree, everyone, Republicans and Democrats, that operating our government on a continuing resolution instead of adopting a budget is a bad move. The federal government for years, under Republicans and Democrats, have operated the government on continuing resolutions, just extending funding instead of adopting a budget and living by it. We as citizens should demand our elected officials to stop doing that. They pass another 3-week extension on a continuing resolution. Then they'll go another month or 2 months. So there's always this imminent threat of shutdown. We need to budget. We need to get back to budgeting.
All right, I'd like to get more into the issue at hand of immigration, but unfortunately we have run out of time. Thanks for stopping by the show.
Thanks for having me on, Glenn. Thanks for all you do.
You bet. Still to come, a new poll shows a big lead for a challenger in the race for Salt Lake City mayor. Does that spell trouble for Mayor Biskupski? Our panel will break it down a little later. But first, a new report says Utah children struggle to get access to representation in the juvenile court system. We'll get to that right after the break.